So hello, everyone. Thanks for joining. I'm Matteo, and Shabu is here with me, and we are both the chairman of the board for the Trustedfirmware.or project. And today we're going to give you an update of all the news for the project and everything that happened in this crazy 2020. So Shabu and I have been around presenting Trusted Firmware for quite a long time now, a couple of years, about 6-7 Linar Connects. But just as a recap, what is this all about, really? What is Trusted Firmware? So Trusted Firmware is an open governance community project hosted by the Linaro community project divisions, and that provides a collaborative space, really a collaborative forum for developing and deploying reference open source implementation of all the secure world software space for ARM processors. And this is true for either the microcontrollers, Cortex-Ms, and the application processors, Cortex-A's and Neoverse and all the other implementations of the A-profile and M-profile architecture. It's really spread across all the market segments, and the membership is open to all. The code is all released under a permissive license, a BSD free code license. The governance of the project is overseen by two main bodies, the board of directors from the project company members, and the technical steering committee. The board usually decides on the strategic and investment matters for the project, while the TSC decides on the technical issues and on the technical direction and new procedures and new processes which has been applied and needs to be applied to the various projects which are part of the Trusted Firmware family. So, Trusted Firmware as a project itself, as a collaboration project, was born in 2018 when 6 companies, 6 founding members, got together around the existing TFA and TFM open source projects. Trusted Firmware for A-class TFA is a known project for quite 7 years now. It started in 2013, and TFM, Trusted Firmware for the microcontrollers, has been added in 2018. So those 6 companies got together and decided to create a community around Trusted Firmware. So ARM, Cypress, Data.io, Google, Linaro, and TI created and funded Trustedfirmware.org. And quite immediately after, we were joined by FutureWay and ST Microelectronics in 2019, and that was kind of a good boost in the development of the project. Together also, from a technical point of view, we were joined by Opti, which has been donated by Linaro into the Trustedfirmware.org family. And finally, this year, no deceleration, actually an acceleration in the technology evolution and in the collaboration. We had NXP and Renesas joining the project beginning of the year. And we've also got 2 new projects joining the list of technical projects part of Trusted Firmware. We've got mbedTLS donated by ARM and Hafnium donated by Google into Trusted Firmware as the reference Security L2 partition manager. So you can see it's really an increasing collaboration which aims at accelerating the technology evolution of the ARM secure software space. It has also been a year in the news for Trusted Firmware. And when I say in the news, not only did I say that because we usually publish the blog posts for new releases of TFA, TFM, and all the other projects. And Shabu also did publish a beautiful article around the integration between FreeRTOS and TFM. But we also literally made the news in terms of WebWire. So we managed to publish 3 press releases that were echoed in the world. First one year ago, when we announced the donation of Opti by Linaro into TF.org. It was this time of the year, last year, September 19. And then earlier this year, the migration of Hafnium and mbedTLS as part of Trusted Firmware, and finally, the new companies joining, Renesas and NXP. Really a big boom in the news from Trusted Firmware. So, new additions, new processes, new things that you will see in the project from now onwards. So first of all, we introduced a new centralized security center. which is effectively a process for handling security vulnerabilities and security incidents in a collaborative and unified way. So we have one single entry point, which is the reporting mail alias, in case anyone outside in the world found a security vulnerability, and that is here. We have introduced a process also for handling coordinated disclosure and collaboration around disclosure of security vulnerabilities. Because on one side, the project strongly believes in having fixes as soon as possible, so upstreaming fixes for vulnerable code as soon as possible. But at the same time, we do realize the need of commercial entities and partners to have a coordinated disclosure process. So we introduced the concept of two specific set of partners, which are called trusted stakeholders, and ESS, which is especially sensitive stakeholders. And these are categories of partners which have specific requirements for handling the disclosure of these vulnerabilities. All the process is described in the wiki page. There are indications around how a company can apply for being considered either as a trusted stakeholder or an ESS. So everyone is more than welcome to go and look at the process. We've also got per project security email aliases, so one for TFA, TFM, mbedTLS, OPT, that are specifics for that project. But in general, the main entry point is now the unified and centralized security at Trustedfirmware.org. And this will be the entry point for all the security vulnerabilities. That's the first news that we have deployed in 2020. There are many others. So the second one is we defined quite better the maintenance process, and we made it completely transparent. So after a few rounds of public discussions, which were held on tech forums, on the mailing lists, and also on the wiki page, we came up with a unified process for handling effectively what? Well, first of all, the code review process. So we have a very well-documented, transparent, and explicit process to handling code reviews. And this goes through the definition also of which are the project roles. So contributors, code owners, and code maintainers. And for every role, there is a set of expectations to be fulfilled by these roles. We have clarified which is the life cycle of every patch once it enters into the review process. And we have clarified the contribution guidelines. We've also finally defined quite better than before the support lifecycle of every platform ports. So we have clear definitions now on when a platform is considered fully supported, only limited support for a platform, or deprecated, because maybe no longer maintained. And as a result of this new process and these new guidelines, we also appointed new maintainers, especially for TFA and Hafnium. And the good news is that half of these maintainers comes from the developer community and from partners. So they are not anymore ARM employees or ARM developers, but they are from the ecosystem. And this shows, again, the open collaboration model that the project is really sustaining and developing around the development and evolution. Shabu, would you like to take over from here?
Yes, let's start sharing. Hope you can hear me okay and see the slides now.
You can see the slides.
Okay. Thanks, Matteo. Hi, everyone. In this part of the presentation, I would like to continue to talk about some of the recent Trusted Firmware initiatives and investments that has happened. So as Matteo was saying in the early part of the presentation, the journey of Trusted Firmware started with just 2 projects, that was TFA and TFM. We had 6 members. Fast forward 2 years, we are lucky to have now 5 projects and 10 members under the Trusted Firmware umbrella, which is all great. In the meantime, we also kicked off a lot of collaborative initiatives, whether it's be the mailing list or the tech forums. And what the project was starting to feel is, in order for all these activities to lead to a very strong collaborative community, it is very important for us to streamline some of these activities, get continuous feedback from the community, reduce barriers for developers to come and collaborate in the project. Moreover, there is always queries coming in from the community and from companies on how the project works overall, how it is structured, etc. So the project has now decided that we need some help in the form of a community manager who can help with some of these activities I just mentioned. And today I'm glad to announce that Don Harbin from Linaro has joined the Trusted Firmware family as its first community manager. And in the coming days and months, you will see Don more active in the community, talking to all of you about the project, getting feedback, and running some of the ongoing initiatives. All the best, Don. Next topic. So for any open source community project to have or to allow contributions from a wide developed base, it's quite important to have an open test system so that the project quality is never compromised as more and more contributions come in. So for the last 1 year or so, the project has been quite committed to build an open test system with an initial focus on Trusted Firmware A and Trusted Firmware M. And the model we had is just as shown in this diagram here. Any patch that comes into a project through a Get system or the GitHub review, it triggers a Jenkins job where all the possible configurations of the project is built, and the built artifacts are then shot off to the Linaro validation system, that's Lava, which in turn tests all those build configuration with this new patch on the different end platforms. And the results are then fed back to the Get system. So it gives confidence to the developer who pushed the patches and for the reviewer and maintainer on the quality of the patch, and ensure that no regressions are brought in as a result of merging these patches. As I said, the initial focus has been on TFA and TFM. Today we have got a MPS3 system for TFM and a Juno board running a lot of TFA tests on a per patch basis in the open test system. This is just a snapshot I took of the ci.trustedfirmware.or, so I'd encourage you to just go and have a look there. You will see there are a lot of Jenkins job which is running, say, TFM and TFM test, whether it's be on a per patch basis or a nightly basis or for release testing. And this is where we think there's a lot of value in pulling together this test system that ensures the quality of the projects, as well as maintaining, encouraging more contributions to come into these projects. And we are not stopping here. There are future phases of this OpenCI that is being planned with the work coming from the Linaro infrastructure team. So in the coming months, the test system would have support for more silicon platforms. QEMU should be supported in the coming months. There'll be support for the ARM architectural models, the FPPs. There'll be dashboards that displays the results in a more consumable way for developers and end users. We're adding static analysis for the project so that it's good to catch issues quite early on. There's going to be a staging instance where developers can add more test infrastructure, add more scripts before they go live into the open test system. As I said, at the moment, we have got the test system covered for TFA, TFM, and Hafnium. We are going to expand that to mbedTLS and Opti. So the vision here is for all the Trusted Firmware projects, there'll be the ci.trustedfirmware.or, which hosts a test system that tests and maintains the quality of the projects. And there'll be, of course, documentation to support this test system as it evolves. Workshops. So some of you might remember that last year around October, we had a workshop in the beautiful city of Lyon in France, where we got developers from across the globe. I'd say as far as Santa Barbara in the West, a lot of people from Europe and from Asia coming together to discuss the future direction and architectural design of TFM. It was a huge success. There were around 35, 40 people, considering TFM was still in its early days. That led to the creation of the bi-weekly tech forums for TFA, TFM. Opti now has got a monthly forum. We would like to repeat that success with the workshop we had last year. Of course, with the current restrictions, it's going to be a virtual workshop, or we would have definitely chosen another beautiful city like Lyon to hold a workshop. So in the months of October and November, there is going to be a half-day separate TFM and mbedTLS workshop. It's going to be open for all, so anyone of you or anyone in your company who would be interested in these two projects, please do dial in. The details will be posted in the mailing list in the coming weeks, I would say. And the focus of TFM, of course, would be what is the next level of architectural evolution that the project as a whole is thinking about. We can have some open architectural discussions rather than death by PowerPoint. And for mbedTLS, it's a project that came into Trustedfirmware.org earlier this year. We know that it's a widely adopted security library. However, the maintainers are keen to talk to the community to see how we can better the collaboration, how we can bring in more contributions from developers in the coming months. So I'm looking forward to these two workshops. I'm sure a lot of people would find it useful. Okay, as we come towards the end of the presentation, I would like to share some good news with you. It's a milestone that we achieved in the last few hours as a project. So now we've got a new Trustedfirmware.org website that has gone live in the last few hours. So we had a Trustedfirmware.org website right from the start of the project for the last 2+ years. As the number of projects and the number of activities and project assets increased, what we were finding was it was not starting to nicely scale to contain all these different projects. So the technical steering committee got together, had detailed discussions on how we should renovate the website. And the TSC decided these 3 should be the themes around which we should build a new website. We know there are 5 projects. Not every developer coming into Trustedfirmware.org would be interested in all these projects. So they should be able to easily navigate to their project of interest. The content should be far well streamlined. The documents were here and there, I would say. And of course, the readability, the font and everything was, I would say, was over time getting a bit difficult for people to understand. And with that in mind, a lot of work has gone in, and in the last few hours, we've gone live with this new website. And this is the home page. And as you can see, I'd say it's in a much better shape now, with the home page just having information around things which are very common to the project. For example, the security incident response process, the latest news, which is all applicable across all the Trusted Firmware projects. When it comes to the individual projects, we have created project mini sites so that people who are, say, interested in mbedTLS or TFA just has to go to that mini website and get all the details specific to that project. And here is a snapshot of how the Trusted Firmware mini website looks like. So here it is a one-stop shop for everything related to TFA, whether it's the project documentation, the code repository, the Gerrit review system, how to subscribe to the TFA mailing list, and links to the bi-weekly tech forums. And there are similar such pages for all the other projects. So please do visit the website when you get a chance. And as a community, this is a busy week for us in Linaro Connect. We've got a lot of talks from several of our projects. We just had the PSA Secure Partition talk by Nicholas. If you missed it, it's a very interesting talk on some of the new work we are doing around Opti and PSA. Please do watch it offline. Tomorrow, myself and David are going to present around the Trusted Firmware M profiles and how that's going to be a demo around the profile small work that we have been doing in the project. Elias and Sahil is going to host a session on Thursday around secure boot and the standalone work they've been doing using Opti. And later on Thursday, there's going to be a session from Olivier on some of the secure partition work that we've been doing around secure EL2 for Cortex-A devices. So please do try to tune into as many sessions as possible. It's all going to be very informative and technical talks. That's all from me and Matthew. Please do visit our new home, Trustedfirmware.org. There are now mailing lists for all the projects. These are all avenues of good technical topics on a daily basis. And the tech forums are also being conducted on a regular basis. And please do watch out for the upcoming workshop of TFM and mbedTLS in October and November. Thanks a lot for your time.